it'll be afternoon. So good afternoon to everyone in Sri Lanka and good morning to everyone in the UK. My name is Nish, as Pasan mentioned, and I am super excited to be here talking to you guys today. I have, to everybody on the call, as well as to the people who are listening and also the people who are speaking, I have nothing but respect for teachers. And I've never, ever, I've always, Pasan knows, I've always wanted to get into teaching, but I've never really had the courage to step away from what I do now. So hats off to you guys that you're doing what you're doing. So over the next few minutes, hopefully I'll try and keep it short. I know that we're running a little bit over. What I'm going to do is talk to you guys a little bit about beating burnout. So what burnout is, for those people who don't know, is the depletion of energy. So if you can imagine a light bulb, it slowly burns out, the light just fizzles out. So it's this idea of like doing things and doing activities that deplete your energy. So as teachers, you guys are naturally giving, your personalities are giving, that's why you've gone into this particular profession. So it's very easy for you to all spend your time giving to other people and slowly depleting the energy that you give yourself. So today I'm hoping to kind of help give you some tips and tricks to stop that. Now, what makes me qualified to do that? Nothing really. I'm not a professor of psychology. I'm not a, university, Cambridge educated. I mean, Sally, I was super impressed by your credentials there, but I'm not that. But what I am is a self-employed tech consultant. So what that means is over the last 2 years, I've basically been paddling my legs to try and keep myself afloat. And it means that I do my own marketing, my own promotion, my own networking. I am me, myself, and I is my business. And if I don't work a day, then I don't get paid a day. And if I take a holiday, then I don't get paid. So I often don't take that many holidays. So it means that in order to do things that I enjoy, such as this, or to do my day job or spend time with my family and friends, I do have to find ways to make sure that I can conserve my energy. So yeah, that's basically what I'm hoping to help you guys with, or help you to recognize some signs of burnout so you can maybe take on some of the stuff that I've been doing over the last 18 months to conserve, to make sure that I'm doing everything I can do to conserve my energy. So let's go into a bit about burnout. So how do you recognize burnout? So for example, if you are having an overload of negative thoughts about your job, so you're always thinking about work, maybe conversations that you've had with your pupils, with your colleagues, you're obsessing over these things, you're suffering from a lack of sleep, that's a huge indicator, or you dread going to work. I think all of us at some point dread going to work, but if you're feeling physically unwell about, on a Sunday night, everyone's got that feeling of like, oh God, I really don't want to go to work tomorrow. But if that's getting too much and you're genuinely saying, I just can't bring myself to go to work, then that is a sign that you are burning out. It could also be that you're at social occasions and you're thinking about work all of the time. If you talk to your colleagues and your friends and your family about work all the time, those are all signs that it's just getting a bit too much for you. So the first thing I'd like to do actually is an activity. So in the chat, I know that Pasan's using the chat window quite a lot. So how many of you, based on what I've just described in terms of signs, how many of you feel like you may have experienced that particular sensation over the last, in the course of your career? Can you drop a yes into the chat box? I can't actually see it, Pasan. Can you see any yeses and nos coming through?
I've got one. Perhaps participants could also use the responses or the reactions on Zoom as well. So
the react ones would be good because I can actually see those too.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got one yes. So we've got at least one person that I'm talking to. So that's enough for the time being. Let's just crack on, just for the interest of time. So what I'm going to take you through is again some tips and tricks. So is this you? So much work but so little time. Look at this person. They said becoming a teacher would be fun, and look at it. It's just loads of marking, it's loads of paperwork, it's loads of stuff that it's overwhelming. So my first tip, I don't know whether everybody does this, is to plan. If you looked at my diary, you would see I plan everything. I plan my 7 a.m. tea in the morning. I plan my mid-afternoon nap if I've got time for it. If I've got like 2-hour block in the day, I'll have a 10-minute slot just to shut my eyes and just calm myself. Plan your recreational activities with your friends, anything like that. Just put it into a planner. It could be a physical planner, it could be a digital planner, but put that time in the diary. And what that means is that you can see how much time you actually have and how much time you're dedicating. So for example, let's just say that you've got a class today and you've set homework and this homework's due in tomorrow and you've got a ton of marking, you've got 30 kids in your class and you know that you have to mark 30 pieces of work. Well, you know that Wednesday night you've got, I don't know, a family event, or you want to go for a run, whatever it is that you plan on doing. You know that Wednesday night you are not marking those papers. So you can prioritize exactly how much time that you have. You can see how much time you have. You can prioritize the activities that you have to do within that time. So don't try and achieve too much as well in 1 week or 1 day. And by planning and looking at exactly how your day is organized, you can see that visually. So please, if you don't have a planner, get one. If you're not a planner, if you pride yourself in being spontaneous, just add a little bit of structure to that, because it will really, really help in structuring your time. The next thing, is this you in the middle of the school year, just dog tired? It could be after 1 week. I know that everyone's kind of on the summer holidays now. So if you're coming back and some summer holidays finish, the first week back after summer holidays, and you're just like, oh, I hate this, I'm too tired. If you recognize that, then my advice to you is rest. Take your breaks. All this time that you have over the summer, I know people say that teachers don't really rest over the summer. They're thinking about their next term, they're thinking about their pupils. But please start thinking about how you can rest. In the middle of your day, if at lunchtime you typically take your papers and you mark them, take those few minutes to eat properly. Don't be sort of working or looking on the internet whilst you're eating. If you can, step away from your environment and go for a walk. Going outside and getting into nature, that's something that they talk about in terms of wellness. Do make sure that you plan and take your breaks. If you're able to, and if I can convince you to get away from your phones, that's also a very good thing to do, because active rest is actually taking no input. So you can read a book, for example, but if you're able to get away from your phone, not take any sort of news, social media, all of those things, please do it. The other thing I was thinking of, if, for example, you're able to plan a lesson where you've got an hour's lesson and you're able to plan 5 minutes at the start and 5 minutes at the end, where you can, finish your lesson and you can take a break between classes, see whether you can start building those practices in. There's a lot of information that's being given to you today as well, in terms of how to new teaching practices. Give yourself the time and the space to actually take that in and think about how you can maybe implement that in your practices, in your teaching practice. And that the only way that you can do that is by resting and giving yourself time and space. And the way that you do that is by planning. So they all kind of follow on to each other. Is this you? Every evening and every weekend, it's just too much. Everything's getting to my head. I can't think about anything else but my next week, and I hate it. Well, my last tip, recognize when you are thinking about work outside of work. Start observing your thoughts. Start thinking, oh my goodness, is that me talking about work? Is that me thinking about work? Am I talking to my mum and I start moaning about my work and how much I'm doing and how little time I have and all the new regulations that I need to adhere to? Stop. Recognize that thought. You don't have to put too much energy into it. Just recognize it. And then move, and then stop yourself, actively move yourself away and bring yourself back to what you're doing in that moment. Speak to your mom, say, sorry, I'm talking about my work. Let's go back to you. Let's talk about what we're doing now. And if you start recognizing that, then you can see how much it actually happens to you. And I'm not saying ignore those feelings, but refocus that energy. And if you can, what I tended to do, oh good Lord, hang on. Oh God, no, that's wrong. What I tended to do, let me go back to that slide. What I tended to do is actually start journaling. So writing it down so you're in your social occasion, you're moaning about your work, you've recognized that you are talking about work too much. Go home and start writing it down. Or even better, speak to a colleague or a friend. Now, we're in an event, we've got loads of people here who are also teachers. And I think, Hassan, this is my little time to request a activity. We talked about it. Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. So that was a really informative session actually for me. I know that in our room we talked about sort of the stresses of marking, the idea that if there's so many pressures really put on people, whether it be people to manage, things to mark. This pandemic situation has caused, a lot of us have moved to online. The idea of that being a new way of changing. I think we're also talking about how you're absorbing as well. You've got all the kids in front of you, how they are, you're absorbing their anxieties as well. So this is a huge, you have intense jobs. Recognize that is, you need rest. You need time to recoup from that. So my last bit of advice actually is to show up for yourself. Just breathe. Take time to pause and breathe. It is absolutely natural to feel stressed about anything. Anything that you feel stressed about is fine. We're all a product of our own, experiences, our upbringings. So it is natural to feel stressed. So your stresses are never invalid. Please always remember that. And it also feels like, as teachers, I know that there's probably something in you that feels like you're never doing enough. There's parents, there's people always criticizing you. That we had chat about that in our room as well just now. And it really is important to breathe your way through that. So breathing, I know it sounds really woo-woo, but breathing, if you think about what it is in terms of an activity, is the first thing that we do when we get born, the first thing that we do actually to gain energy. So if you do feel overwhelmed, always take time to pause and breathe. Take that time. And if you do nothing between lessons but take 5 minutes to just breathe, it'll be worth it. So to summarize, set realistic expectations. Plan. If you're not a planner, become a planner. Rest well. Always take your rests. Take a break, have a cup of tea, go and have a walk. Even if you're like, I've got so much to do, right before you start, stand up, go out, move around, have a tea, do whatever you need to, just rest. It's very important. And if you can, take a nap. I love naps. And recognize, the third thing is recognize what's happening and stop yourself. You don't have to stop or ignore your own feelings, just move them to a journal or indeed to colleagues. I think what we wanted as well from this session was for everyone in this network that we're talking about. We've got over 40 people on the call right now. It would be cool if, for example, you don't have colleagues or you don't have people in your close vicinity that you can talk to. If you do want to share your details with Hassan and you want to be connected to anybody in this group, please do. And let's form a bit of a community to start talking to one another. I think the thought was to maybe pair people up or create some sort of buddy network, but we can see how much you feel. So please do, if you want to be connected with people on the call, do drop your details to Hassan.